The collapse comes on the same day and not far from the same area where President Biden planned to talk about the recently passed bipartisan infrastructure deal. Before he did, he visited the bridge site.
As a former Pennsylvanian, but I didn't realize there are literally more bridges in Pittsburgh than any other city in the world. Let me just talk a little bit about what we all just saw, many of us saw this morning. A bridge more than 50 years old, I think it was 150 years, it says 50 years old, but I thought it was older, collapsed right here in Pittsburgh.
Well, still ahead, the breaking news out of Pittsburgh, where a bridge has collapsed just hours before the president's visit to talk about infrastructure of all things.
A snow-covered bridge in Pittsburgh collapsed this morning, just hours before President Biden visits the city to talk about infrastructure. These pictures show several vehicles, as you can see, and a transit bus at the bottom of a ravine where the bridge gave way. At this point, there are no fatalities, but several people were hurt.
But this happened this morning, and ironically, schools were detained for 2 hours because of the weather. And so conceivably, there were far less people on the roads, but there were 3 to 4 vehicles on that bridge, including a public bus.
The White House says that President Biden has been briefed on the bridge collapse in Pittsburgh, of course, and the president, as Gene has been talking about, will be leaving to head there shortly for a pre-planned event promoting the bipartisan infrastructure law that he signed into law.
Well, as you said, Kate, the president has been briefed on this bridge collapse, and he is moving forward with this trip, despite the fact that this bridge collapse occurred about 4 miles from where the president is set to speak this afternoon. There was, of course, a gas leak earlier in the day, but local officials said that that was now under control. And as you said, President Biden, before this bridge collapse even happened, he was already set to go to Pittsburgh, and he was set to address the American economy more broadly, but specifically to tout this bipartisan infrastructure law at $1.2 trillion and the effect that it will have in cities like Pittsburgh.
A bridge collapses in the middle of the morning commute. Somehow, no one died, even as cars went over the edge and piled up in the rubble. This taking place just hours before President Biden was due in the city, in part to discuss infrastructure.
Today is significant of that. You know, at the end of the day, we could have had some serious injuries. At the end of the day, this is critical that we get this funding.
As noted, President Biden will arrive in the area later this hour. He's on the way right now. His visit was scheduled before the bridge collapse, and the White House kept it on the schedule after consulting with local officials. The stop is part of a Biden promise to get out in the country more and part of an urgent White House effort to ask Americans to take a second look at the administration accomplishments like the big infrastructure bill.
There are another 3,300 bridges here in Pennsylvania, some of which are just as old and just as decrepit condition as that bridge was.